Look at these cute, fancy eyeshadow palettes. These are from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. They just launched these, and these are their newest 6-pan palettes. And this packaging just feels so luxe. They almost look like I'm holding up a couple of wallets. They are more monochromatic color stories, and I'm going to get into each and one of them. And I was sent these in PR from Glaminatrix Cosmetics, so thank you so much for sending these over to me so I could try these out. I'm going to be doing a look with each of the palettes, but before that, let's talk about each of the palettes. So here's Elegant Eyes. This is your warmer toned neutral color story. They all have pretty much like one topper shimmer shadow, one darker shimmer shadow, and then an in-between shimmer shadow, and I feel like that is so very smart of them. Generally speaking, I do love to see a variety of opacities in terms of shimmers, and these do have their smaller pans that they've been doing for quite a few palettes at this point, and I do really like that they're smaller pans. Next palette is Elevated Eyes. This is your blue color story. We have a topper shimmer shadow, a darker shimmer shadow, and then kind of like an in-between. This one has a little bit more of a base to it. Nice gradient of like a really vibrant lighter blue, a mid-tone blue, and a deep blue. The Entrancing Eyes palette is your leaning more magenta burgundy, specifically with these two shades. And again, we have kind of the same layout as the other palettes, which I love that it's consistent between all the different palettes. And then the last palette is the Exquisite Eyes palette. This is a green lover's dream. It is an all green palette. Love how vibrant the shade is. I just think it adds like a little bit of extra, not only depth in terms of you have these other two shades, this one's more mid-tone and then this one's deeper. I like that it's really vibrant, and it's especially going to go with the center shade in here, so love this color story. So before I get into a look with each of the palettes, I'm going to be showing you detailed swatches of each of the shimmer shades, and of course I'll give you some of my thoughts at the end of the video, so let's get right into it. Exquisite Eyes palette. Exquisite, lovely, superb. So these two look kind of like duochromes, maybe this one a multi-chrome, while this shade is definitely more of like a silvery topper shade. I mean, oh, it sparkles so much. It's got a little bit more of a texture to it. I don't know why I swatched this one so low. I'm gonna add one more layer here. So you can definitely get it a bit more opaque. So this one's got like a, it reminds me of the shade, I think it was Basil. I forget which shade it was from. I think you know, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but it reminds me of that shade. So it's got like a brown base to it with a green flash straight on, and it shifts to purple. This one's slightly maybe like an orangey gold with a shift all the way to green. It's very, very vibrant. They are all very smooth, but this shade has a little bit more of a slight piecier kind of texture to it compared to these two other shades, and not in a flaky way at all. It's just like the particle size is a little bit larger, and it is such a stunner. Elevated Eyes, we have Elevated, Sublime, and Grand. You can kind of see the textural difference between these a little bit. So these two most similar to each other, they pick up a little bit kind of piecier, while this one picks up more like a super smooth metallic. So shiny. Oh my goodness. It's got almost like a little bit of a silvery base to it. Very interesting. This one has a greenish base to it with a light pink kind of reflect. I will be adding another layer to these two shades, so you can really see at full opacity what they look like. It's kind of like a light teal, maybe a little bit like an aqua base with that pinky purple reflect straight on. And then this one's almost like a black based multi-chrome. In a way, it does definitely have a darker base to it. It's just like so vibrant blue, really stunning. And then this one, of course, the most topper-like shade, very silvery, but has almost like kind of like a taupe base to it. Elegant Eyes, elegant, cultivated, sumptuous. Sumptuous definitely is a little bit on the flaky side. You can kind of see the way it picked up. It's looking a little bit chunkier, while elegant and cultivated are just so ultra like PC beautiful, and I'm sure they're going to swatch very smoothly. So beautiful. And this one's a bit more opaque, and then this one's gonna be the most opaque. This is like a beautiful kind of like mocha shade. I don't know if any of these are necessarily multi-chromes. I do think this one has a little bit of a shift, but it's pretty subtle. It is just a stunning kind of neutral leaning special shades, kind of special textures with like extra oomph kind of palette. And I mean, it's so shiny, and Sumptuous does smooth out. Entrancing Eyes. So Entrancing, Bewitch, and Captivate. Captivate is also a little bit flaky, and then Bewitch and Entrancing are very PC kind of smooth types of shades. And I mean, they swatch so beautifully. This one definitely has a lot going on for it. It's got kind of like a little bit of different flecks throughout it as well, up close and personal. I think this one you could really sheer out. And this one, I love this one right here. It's a very icy pink, like really cool tone. It's got like a grayness to it at certain angles. It is so stunning. So while I'm not doing full comparison swatches for these palettes, I did want to compare the topper like shades in each one. So this one is Bewitched from the Entrancing palette. This is Exquisite from the Exquisite palette, Elegant from the Elegant palette, and Elevated from the Elevated palette. Out of all the shades, I think these two are the most similar to each other, but I think the texture is a little bit different. And I do think Elevated is more icy white. And I love the shade. The best I feel like I can describe the tone of this one is, for some reason, cement. Like if cement was ultra sparkly, beautiful, shiny, and wet looking, it would be like this. Like it's got that kind of cool tone, washed out kind of vibe to it, but obviously way sparkly. First up, I'm going to be using the Elevated Eyes palette, and I'm picking up striking on the Makeup Shack T63 brush, and I'm just putting it on the outer corner first and bringing it underneath the lower lash line. And then I'm gonna wipe this brush off as much as I can, and I'm gonna take Elated and I'm gonna blend that into the edges of that. Oh my gosh, it's so pigmented. Whoa, look at that. It is so pigmented. I take a little bit more, especially up here, and then bring it underneath my lower lash line. I'm going to take a little bit more striking and just kind of deepen out this outer corner. And then just kind of tapping it on so it blends in to the light blue shade. And then I'm taking Glistening, and that's just going to go right in the center. And I'm just going to swipe that inwards into my inner crease a little bit. And then I'm just going to use my pinky, and I'm taking Grand. I'm going to put that on a little bit of an angle on the outer corner. Definitely have some fallout. That shade is a little bit chunky. And then, ooh, I don't know, I think I'm going to take Elevated on the rest of that lid. The shade is so beautiful. And this one will mix nicely with the blue, so it would actually make it more blue, especially like right in the center here if I mix them together. Here's the first finished look. Onto the look with Exquisite Eyes. I'm at first going in with Ostentatious, and I'm just going to bring that all the way around underneath my lower lash line onto the outer corner. I'm going to be creating a halo eye. And I'm just going to start off with the lighter shade this time, and then blend the darker shade in afterwards. So I'm just taking that all the way around my lid, essentially. All the way around. Such a beautiful mustardy shade. Taking it in the center of my lid and blending out. Taking a layering and putting it onto the outer corner and the inner lid, and just blending it out, and then bringing it underneath the lower lash line just a little bit and blending it, and then a little bit underneath here as well. And I'm going to go back to the other brush, and then taking this larger Sigma brush and just blending the edges into that green, the lighter green, and in here as well, and onto the lower lash line. And I'm taking a Lovely right in the center of my lid, and I'm going to bring it up into the crease. It's going to end up there anyway, and I do like seeing the brightness up there when I fully relax my hood, kind of like this. And then I'm picking up Exquisite with my pinky. I'm just going to put that as the inner corner highlight. That was a bit much. Oh my goodness. Okay, this shade, I don't know if this is necessarily a inner corner highlight kind of shade. Actually, let me tap this one just very lightly in the center over the green. I would definitely recommend a tacky primer. I had quite a bit of fallout and I could see, and here's the finished look. For the next look, I'm going to be using Entrancing Eyes. And I'm taking Enticing and I'm just going to create an eyeshadow wing. This is the Refer 23 brush. And I'm going to try to keep it pretty small, like just like a little bit of a flick in this outer corner, and then connecting it to my lower lash line as well. And I'm just adding a little bit more down here, and then just the tiniest bit connecting it to go about halfway into my lid. And then I'm gonna slowly start to bring it, I'm gonna wipe off my brush and I'm gonna slowly start to bring it out to create like that faded, super blendy kind of wing. And like I said, I really want to keep it to like this. I don't want to take it too far out. I think for the shimmer, I want to go in with Bewitch, and I'm just going to tap that in the center of my lid. Oh, this is so pretty. I definitely think you could get this a little bit more opaque if you use a tacky primer, but I really did just want to see how this looks on the lid without anything else. It is very ethereal, very light sparkle. I do see a little bit of dimensionality in the shade for sure. Here's the finished look. And for the last look, using the Elegant Eyes palette, picked up Divine, and it's just gonna go on the outer corner. Just gonna really try to keep it out here. And I'm using the Refer Shoto 02 brush. And then I'm gonna go back into this brush and I'm gonna take Graceful. I'm gonna put that on the outer edge of that. And just blend it out a little bit. I'm gonna go back in with a little bit more. And then going back into Divine. And bringing it underneath the lower lash line as well. Picking up Ornate on the Refer 28 brush, and I'm just gonna put that all over the lid from going in from my inner corner to blend in with the outer corner. The Shine On Shimmer Shadow Enhancer from Clionadh Cosmetics and my collab, and it's gonna go on the lid, and I'm just gonna tap it out as usual. Picked up Cultivated on the Refer 28, and that's just gonna go right in the center of my lid, and I'm gonna be putting it a little bit on an angle going into the inner lid as well. And then I'm gonna use the same brush, but I'm gonna use the edge of it, and I'm picking up Elegant, and I'm just gonna put that right up in here, right above that shade as a highlight. And a little bit on the inner corner. And here's the finished look. Overall, I love all of these. I think they're extremely consistent between each palette, consistent with their matte formula and their shimmer formula from their eyeshadow palettes. I think these are beautifully done, especially for 6-pan palettes. I think you can easily get very redundant in monochromatic palettes, especially when they're smaller. I'm loving these, and I'm glad that Glaminatrix Cosmetics released them because they are just, I think, so cute. They're definitely travel friendly. The shimmers in here are, and across all the palettes, are just so beautiful. I have noticed they have a different shimmer formula overall in their palettes versus their single eyeshadows, which they have a couple of different textures in their single eyeshadows, but it does seem the formula itself is a little bit different between the singles and the palette shimmers. I would love to see them launch this formula from the palettes as single eyeshadows. I mean, just so exquisite, especially the first shade in all the palettes. It's like ultra sparkly, very finely milled, very elevated. Also, none of these accentuate any sort of skin texture on the lid, and that's a huge positive. I'm excited to see if they launch even more of these 6-pan palettes. I would love to see some other, you know, a purple one would be really fun. Also one with cooler tone browns. I feel like these are great because you can kind of just pick and choose which color story you would like to buy, the one that you see yourself using the most. So I'm really enjoying these. I can't wait to see what Glaminatrix does in 2025. Let me know in the comments below if you picked any of these up and what you think of them. I would love to hear your thoughts, and that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.